And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. Great show today with Ken Kendall, CFP, CLU. Kendall Financial.net is his website and his company, and you need to connect with him. We've been talking about the ways that he's built community on linking together DFW, which is a LinkedIn group in the DFW area. And if you're in this area, you're a business owner or an executive, you should connect. You should connect with that group and Ken right away, because the fact is that if over 2,000 or 3,000 people are your ideal client, are all in one neighborhood, I'd go there. Right, Ken?
Hope so. That's the idea of it, yeah.
Well, one of the things that I want to get into this time is, talk about the things that that you do. I want to say for your clients, but to identify who your ideal client is, and then really talk about what are some of the special things that people need to be considering that would even kind of open the door for one to be with you.
Okay. Well, over the years, I've kind of identified who it is that I really serve the best. And a lot of people in the business have sort of put minimum requirements in terms of net worth, income, and so on. I really have found that I don't need to do that. Really, I'm looking for people that meet three sort of characteristics. I want to deal with someone who's friendly, because it's such a relationship kind of a thing. Someone who's responsible, and someone who's serious about making the best decisions they can regarding their money. Because what we do is a little bit unique in the financial services industry in that we really help people focus on what I call wealth transfers or wealth leakage. And most financial advisors sort of jump in looking at the investment portfolio and basically try to help people make better investments, get greater return, and so on. And that's important. It's not that that's not important. But I think I can probably bring more value to people by helping them avoid the losses than I can by getting the best gains. And so getting the maximum bang for the buck is an important thing, but there's a lot of money that most people let slip away from their personal circle of wealth inadvertently and unnecessarily. And so that's what we really focus on, is trying to help people identify what are you doing that you're not doing as smart as you could, and stop it and bring that money back in-house.
That's a whole training right there, isn't it? I mean, that you're really helping somebody to understand and kind of rewire some ways that they do business in the household of business and in the business of business. It's like, financially speaking, it's a real rewiring.
Sometimes it is. There are a lot of things that we've sort of been taught to believe that are true, but when you step back and take a bigger look at it, you realize, hey, some of this stuff that we've thought was the right way to do it may not be the smartest way to go. So one of my favorite questions to ask people is, if something that you thought was true turned out not to be true, when would you want to find that out?
As early as possible.
As early as possible for most people. And yet there are a lot of people, there are a lot of misconceptions that people have regarding money. So we've kind of identified about 35 different specific things that people can do, that people tend to do, that aren't necessarily the smartest way to do it. So they break down into 5 major areas, and there's about 35 different specific items. And so a lot of what we do with clients is just walking through what they're doing, pointing out, are there things that you could be doing perhaps more efficiently, smarter than you are, and help them stop the leakage and bring the money back in-house.
What are like the 5 different, I'll call them buckets just for the phraseology of it, the 5 different buckets that you're talking about there?
Well, one of them is taxes. I'm not a CPA, I don't do tax return, but there are a lot of things that people can do more efficiently from a tax standpoint. The way they handle their investment portfolio, the way they handle their retirement program, the way they buy all their major stuff, major purchases, things that are kind of budget busters, the way they fund their children's educational expenses. Those are all areas where people can be inefficient in the use of their money. And so we, again, what we do is really try to help them point out, there may be smarter ways to do what you're trying to do, and quit doing things that send money away, but stop it and bring the money back in-house.
But isn't that also looking at certain things like with college or with car purchases or something that a lot of times people will put a cash outlay if they have the cash, or they'll finance the thing. And they don't understand how that hurts them long term. It takes money away from their future nest egg because they're not thinking 30 years out, are they?
A lot of times not. Yeah, one of the things that we talk a lot about principles and strategies more than specifics. I like to use golf as a good analogy because if I said to you, you know, if you want to try to improve your golf game, which do you think is more efficient, to go out and buy a new set of clubs or to take lessons and get your swing straight? And most people recognize it's the swing, it's not the club. And yet a lot of the financial services industry focuses on the clubs or the products. And so that's really what we do, is to talk to people about what are you doing that you could be doing smarter, get the swing right, then we'll worry about going to the club rack when it's time to buy the new set of clubs.
There's a lot of truth in that. For me, all I've ever got out of golf is a blister. So I'm like, well, I don't know if the golf, the club, or the training would do me a whole lot of good, but I know that when it comes to financial stuff, having the right information makes all the difference. Ken's talking about that right now on the Business Spotlight. If you're a business owner, you should be tuning in for a lot of reasons. One, to connect with Ken. Two, hopefully you're learning some things about what you can do to reroute or rewire some of your financial concepts for the future. We've got one more segment here. Be right back.